Custom controls are a way to add extra values to nodes in the Fusion tab. As you can see here, I've created a button which controls multiple values through expressions, and if you would like to see a more separate, focused video on expressions, leave a comment down below. To create custom controls, start by right-clicking on the node you want to add the controls to and select Edit Controls. The first set of options you have are the name, ID, type and page. The name is the name that will appear next to the control. The ID is what you will use to identify this control from things like expressions. For IDs, I recommend you make them the same as the name but with any spaces removed, as this is how the rest of Davinci Resolve's controls are set by default, helping to keep consistency and make things simpler when it comes to using expressions. The type is what type of control you want to create. Then the page options are what page of the inspector panel for the node the control goes in. This will have all the pages that are already visible from the node list and then a user page that allows you to have a separate page where it's just your controls. Then in the middle column we have our default settings and controls for how we control the value we choose on the left. There are many different options and combinations here, so I'd recommend experimenting and finding the best options for your own scenarios. However, I will look at a few options later. On the right hand column you have extra controls for your input control on the left, and on the far right, not in an outlined column, you have the options for the views controls. As you saw in the beginning example, one of my favourite ways to use custom controls is with checkboxes. As you can see here in this opening to one of my older videos, you can see that I can control and animate the hover of the cursor I animated with these custom control checkboxes all in one place. To link these checkboxes to a value, you can use something called expressions. Whilst I'm only going to briefly cover them here, if you'd like a full video explaining them in much more detail, leave a comment down below. Start by finding the value you want to control, right-clicking on it and selecting expression. For a checkbox, we want to predefine two values that this slider could be set to based off whether the checkbox is selected or not. To do this, create an if statement using this syntax, IIF, then some brackets, reference the checkbox, then if it's greater than 0, followed by a comma, the value if the checkbox is selected, and then another comma, and the value if it's not. When linking any control with expressions, either in an if statement like this or just the slider's value, use the name of the node followed by a full stop and then the ID of the control. The ID is just the name that you can see next to the value but with any spaces removed. As you can see here, I have a few labelled examples of the different types of just number-based inputs you can have. For me, I don't find custom controls allowing me to do things I couldn't do before, but instead making situations where I have many different nodes and values that I all want to be linked, having a hub of controls on a group or on the media out node to create a place where I can control lots of different linked attributes from one node tree.